may go free. I'll be feeling tomorrow, baby, like I feel today. Oh, you hear me, baby? I'll be feeling tomorrow, baby, like I feel today. I'm gonna pack my suitcase, make my getaway. Hey, hey. I know this St. Louis woman, she wears a diamond ring. Says she leads a man around a by-phone string. Get away my window, a knocking on my door. I got a brand new sweetheart, I can't use you no more. Hey, hey, I got the St. Louis blues, I'm just as blue as I can be. Some diddle-dum-dum. Oh, my baby got a heart like a rock that's in a sea.
The St. Louis Blues, sung by Sam Chapman, one of the last of the old-time Delta bluesmen. W.C. Handy, who later wrote and recorded many blues songs, wrote the St. Louis Blues. But the real blues wasn't written, they were lived, because the blues is more than music. The blues is a feeling too. The blues is being down, missing a woman, losing a woman, feeling alone, needing a job. Well, going through hard times, wanting to move to a better place. The blues to many people are many things, but to me, the blues is life, as we lived in the past, as it is now in the present, and as it will be in the future, as long as people have problems. But the blues actually came from all over the South, wherever black people played music. But it was here in the Mississippi Delta, probably more than anywhere else, that the blues was born. Willie Brown, one of the earliest of the Delta bluesmen, singing the Mississippi Blues.
Going down in the Delta, where I can hear my phone. Going down in the Delta, where I can hear my phone. Where I can drink my white lightning gamble, I can bring my baby home. Don't the Delta look lonesome when that evening sun goes down, just about twist off? Don't the Delta look lonesome when that evening sun goes down? Well, you be looking for
for your baby. Don't know where she could be found. Well, I look all over town for you there.
The flat hot delta, where around the turn of the century, black people start singing a new kind of music. While back then, black people lived much as they had in slave times, where there was no end to the cotton, no end to the flat fields, no escape from the work they'd been doing for what seemed like hundreds of years. The delta had not changed and would not change for a long time. The blues started here and here.
Well, it's early morning,
But the roots go much deeper.
Lord, mama.
To Africa, to the rhythms and the tribal chants of that faraway home. And to the years of slavery, when the leader would call out and workers would follow. And the work would go on and on.
Oh, baby, what you want me to do?
But the music of the blues is more than rhythm alone.
You my money and die for you.
The roots of the blues are in the field hollow too. The solitary song of one man alone in the fields from sunup to sundown.
I was waiting on my cemetery.
You can hear the rhythm of the work song and the mournful cry of the field hollerer in Low Down Dirty Blues, sung by Son House. He and Willie Brown recorded some of the earliest Delta blues. Son lived long enough to enjoy the rediscovery of country blues in the 1960s. Willie Brown, his close friend, and most of the others didn't.
Well, you know the sun is going down. I sit behind that old western hill. I sit behind that old western hill. You never do a thing, not against my baby's will. Well, you know that's bad. I declare that's too black bad. I declare that's too black bad. You know my woman done quit me. Ooh, man, look like the whole round world again. You know she stopped writing, wouldn't even send me no kind of word. I said she wouldn't send me no kind of word. She turned the low back on me about some old low-down thing she heard.
During the day, many blues musicians would do farm work, chopping cotton, picking cotton, or hauling logs in lumber camps. They were great musicians, legends now, but then they were black and poor, and that was how they lived. But at night and on weekends, for white dances and for their own in juke joints, small crowded black bars, they played the blues. In my day, we learned the blues songs from the records and the radio. But back then, blues musicians learned from each other. And this is Docker's Plantation in the heart of the Delta, near Greenville. If you had to pick one single spot as the birthplace of the blues, you might say it all started right here. Willie Brown played here, Son House played here, and here at Docker's, another blues singer was working the fields by day and playing his music by night. He was Charlie Patton, called the father of the Delta blues.
I'm about to go to jail about this spoon story.
Ain't no all that blue is going crazy every day like butter. It's all I want in this treason it up. I go home, wanna fight butter. Stop to die when hot spring is butter. These women going crazy every day they lie about. Will you kill a man, baby? Yes, I will. Dead by
Nathan Beauregard, age 97, a contemporary of Patton's, sings Charlie Patton's Spoonful.
Go to jail about spoonful. Go to jail about spoonful. Spoonful, you go to jail by. I find my papa by. Oh, find my papa by a spoonful. Find my papa my spoonful. Find my papa. Can't but a little bit stir, can't but a little bit stirred up. All the bit stir, but a little bit. And no business starting it if you know you couldn't keep it up. Can't but a little bit stir, can't but a little bit. Oh, a little bit stir, oh, a little bit stir, oh, a little bit. Oh, can't but a little bit. I don't want no jail like woman.
Parchman Penitentiary in the Mississippi Delta. Until very recent times, Southern penitentiaries operated as plantations. The black inmate lived much as his grandfather had in slavery. And here the old slave work song survives in prison chants. Booker T. Washington White, Booker White, served time here. Booker was a great admirer of Charlie Patton, and like Patton, he played music in the juke joints and honky-tonks. And like Patton, his life was full of hard times. Hard times led to trouble. And for Booker White, trouble one night in a juke joint led to parchment. You can hear echoes of the prison work song in Booker White's blues.
I got a bulldog with my CC mama while you done made me love you now and I sound plain. Mama don't lie now, staying out all night now. Play it good, Booker. Let the people know what you're saying.
The Delta was the cradle of the blues, but blues was being sung all over Mississippi by men like Ishman Bracey, Bo Carter, Garfield Akers, Sam Collins, Reuben Lacey, Mississippi John Hurt, Son Thomas, and a whole lot more. And throughout the South, from Texas to Georgia, and on into the Carolinas, black men and women had the blues and sang them. People like Blind Lemon Jefferson, Blind Blake, and Huddy Ledbetter, known as Leadbelly. But still, the center was the Delta, home of a man who had the shortest but most spectacular career of any blues singer. One who played with Son House and Willie Brown. One you often hear spoken of as the greatest country blues singer who ever lived, Robert Johnson. I always heard that he was a young man that liked to play his music, liked to be around musicians that played, and of course had a great influence on many of the musicians that we know about today. But one thing, we don't even know what he looked like. All we can guess from his music is that he was a driven man, singing about the hellhound on his trail. He perfected the technique of using a bottleneck or copper tubing on his strings, making his guitar wail and cry. He'd play the juke joints and dances, chasing women and singing about his hard times with them. Until they say he was murdered in 1938 at the age of 26 by a jealous girlfriend who poisoned his whiskey. Wanting a woman's a big part of the blues. And in those days, if a black man lost his woman, he'd lost everything, because he didn't have anything else.
I followed her to the station with a suitcase in my hand. And I followed her to the station with a suitcase in my hand. Well, it's hard to tell, when all your love's in vain, all my love's in vain. When the train rolled up to the station, I looked her in the eye. When the train rolled up to the station, and I looked her in the eye. Well, I was lonesome, I felt so lonesome, and I could not help but cry. All my love's in vain. When the train it left the station with two lights on behind. When the train it left the station with two lights on behind. Well, the blue light was my blues, and the red light was my mind. All my love's in vain. Ooh, really made. Ooh, really made. Be your woe, all my love in vain.
Robert Johnson had auditioned in Jackson for a record company talent scout, Henry C. Spear. From 1926 to 1940, Spear auditioned hundreds of musicians at his record store on Farish Street, sending the best of them like Charlie Patton, Son House, Willie Brown, and Robert Johnson to record, trying to get them $50 a song. Throughout the South of the 20s and 30s, the blues was heard on race records, recorded by blacks for blacks. The blues was becoming profitable for the big record companies, if not for the musicians, who often sold the rights to a song for $1. But for every musician like Robert Johnson who recorded and left a record of the music, there was hundreds who never recorded and remained obscure. But they sang the same blues of lost love and hard times, hoping the next day would bring something better. Hayes McMullen of Tutwiler, Mississippi.
Oh, hurry sundown, let tomorrow come. I said, hurry sundown, let tomorrow come. Says she may bring sunshine, red big drops of rain. Oh, run here, mama, you sit down on my knee. You can run here, mama. just sit down on my knee. Speak some kind word just to give my heart some need. Yeah, keep me worried, I'm bothered all the time. Yes, you keep me worried, I'm bothered all the time. So you keep me worried, bothered all the time.
Another singer who Henry Spear auditioned was Tommy Johnson. Johnson was the center of a school of blues that developed around Jackson in the 20s. Houston Stackhouse played the jukes with Tommy Johnson, and he remembers the time that he helped Johnson fix a flat. Then he drank canned heat with him. Tommy got drunk, and Houston got sick.
On our way coming from back to Delta from my dad and granddad's funeral. Tommy Johnson was working on 2 tires. Both his front tires was full of tire, you know, had them still full of rag and thing. And they had him trouble with one of his back tires. And so I said, well, if you're trying to get that tire, I'll fix it. We'll help you fix it. So we stopped and helped him fix the tire. And he said, I want some candy so bad, I don't know what to do. I said, well, we get the tire fixed, we go uptown, I'll buy you some candy. So we made it to Crystal Springs. Went on in there. I went in the Crystal drugstore and got him 4 boxes. And he carried me out on Camp Street, and that's where he made it up there. And so, give me a couple of big glasses. So that settled it with me. Then we come on to Crystal Springs and went to playing music there in town on the street. I went to Fallen Elton going on there. Police said, what boy is that drunk like that? He said, that's the way he Stackhouse boy. I said, well, somebody came home. No one put him in jail. They carried him. He got found Ben Bowman. He carried him and brought me home. They told me to lay me up on the porch. And you talking about sleep. Oh, Houston Stackhouse was 6 down. Candy Mountain, crying so long, killing me. Crying now, mama, mama, crying, candy killing me. Crying, candy mama, so long, killing me. I woke up this morning, crying candy long on my bed. Woke up this morning, candy was on my mind. Woke up this morning, crying candy low on my mind. Crying mama, 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 crying so long, killing me. Crying, mama, 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 crying, can't hit it, killing me. Crying, can't eat low, mama, crying, baby, ooh, never die. Crying, mama, 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 crying, can't eat around my bed. Oh, God, this morning, with this candy. can he blue? Run, yes, sir, I'm crying, take the heat, can he blue?
Blues is a lonely song, sung on a front porch at sundown. But blues can be good time music, too. Music to drink and dance to.
This is Crawford, Mississippi, home of Big Joe Williams and his custom-made 9-string guitar. And he knows how to use it to get this joint jumping.
Shame on you, baby. Low down, dirty shame. Shame on the low down, dirty shame. Crazy about a married woman. Yeah, they call that woman name. I got a woman in Cuba, man. One in Spain. Got a woman in London and one in Crawford. Yeah, they call her name. Low down, dirty chain. Yeah, they call it woman name. What kind of woman are you? Yeah. Low down dirty shade. Oh, baby. Low down dirty shade. I'm in love with a married woman, but I'm afraid to call that woman name. I'm in love with the woman, but she loves some other man. Can't see her, boy. I'm in love with the woman, she loves some other man. Can't see her when I want her, how to glimpse her when I can. I believe my baby done lied. I believe my baby done lied. I know my baby done lied. Said she never had a man when I was doing my time. He got it. I'll be your dog. I'll be your dog. Well, I'll be your dog. I'll get you way down here, make you walk below. Don't leave me here. Don't leave me here. Another man gone. Another man gone. left the county phone with the shackles on me.
Bill Street, Memphis. It was one big juke joint. Starting in the 20s and through the 30s and 40s, Mississippi blacks began migrating north, leaving the plantations, looking for jobs in the city. Memphis was the first stop along the way. There was music all up and down Bill Street. W.C. Handed, his band, was playing here. And ragtime, popularized much earlier by Scott Joplin, was still around. Guitarist Hacksaw Hurney from Jackson, Mississippi plays the guitar rag. Work was hard to find in the Depression years in the South. Some people said the Depression forced the white man to feel what the black man had felt all the time. But what was hard on the white man was even harder on the black man. Gus Cannon was an entertainer who couldn't find work, so he played in traveling medicine shows that sold pills and tonics to cure every ill and featured free entertainment by black musicians like Gus.
I walking down the runway. We had a little runway. Hold up on everybody. I said, hold your hand up if you want it. $1. Why don't you hold your hand up? How you offer the greenback? How you offer, darn? How you offer the greenback, boy? You can't get away with mine. Play it.
Bill Street was also the home of a more urban blues sound, including the music of men and women. Women blues singers was usually accompanied by pianists or groups. Mo Rainey, Mamie Smith, and Bessie Smith was playing up north, and in Memphis Minnie from Tunica County, Mississippi. In their tradition, Mrs. Van Hunt.
I'm the jelly selling woman. I sell it every day. I'm the jelly selling woman. I sell it every day. You women don't like me, 'cause I'm gonna give it away.
And still singing the blues in Memphis, Memphis Mulroney, who borrowed the name of the great blues woman.
Yes, I love my good night, standing in the back door. You got a home just as long as I got. Yes, I love you, Daddy, and I swear to God I do. I love you, Daddy, and I swear to God I do. Do anything for you, baby, but a little girl like me can do. Play, man. Get on, baby. Yeah. I've got a long tall daddy and a little old daddy too. Yeah, I've got a long tall daddy and a little old daddy too. I'm gonna tell my long tall daddy what my little old daddy can do. Yeah.
But Bill Street is not what it used to be. No more music in the park, no people moving around from bar to bar, and no more magic in the air. Flurry Lewis, born in Greenwood, Mississippi, is one of the last of the old-time Bill Street bluesmen. His blues borrows from many different elements, but his sound is all his own.
I had a girl one time. Her name was Freddie Kaiser. Freddie Kaiser left me and went to Brownsville. Take your right hand road. And I'm going to Brownsville, Moon. Take that right hand road. Well, I ain't gonna stop walking till I get my baby's door. And I ain't gonna stop walking till I get my baby's door. And that woman I love, she got great long curly hair. And that woman I got great long curly hair. But her mother, father, don't lie for there. Sing that by yourself guitar for Prairie. Say it again. Pretty hair.
But her mother, father, don't lie further. I'm gonna mail me a letter. I'm gonna mail it in the air, Lord knows. I'm gonna write me yeah. And if a man stay here, he can stay most everywhere. When my woman quit me, she never said a mumbling word. When my woman, she never said a mumbling word, baby. Want nothing, she was something that she heard. She something that she heard. Baby, you know you don't want me. Please don't dog me around. You know you don't want me, baby. You ain't got the doggo furry around. If you give me my clothes, Lord, I shake 'em on down. You know, my woman told me, "For I don't want you no more." My woman told me yesterday, "For I don't want you no more." But she's on my Daniel everywhere I go, Lord knows. She put laudanum in my coffee. She put strychnine in my tea. Put laudanum in my coffee, strychnine in my tea. Time in my biscuit, but she didn't hurt for it.
While Delta and Beale Street joints was filled with the blues, down in New Orleans, blacks had developed a different music, jazz. Jazz is next of kin to the blues. It often uses the 12-bar blues structure and blues chord changes, but jazz has fuller instrumentation and more group improvisation. Blues came from the country, jazz is the sound of the city. Like jazz, gospel music had a lot in common musically with the blues. Many blues musicians played both gospel and blues. But it wasn't easy for them because the church would have nothing to do with the blues. It's the other side of the coin, the choice a musician has to make, almost between God and the devil, between the church, the fundamentalist Southern church that permitted no drinking or dancing, and the fast, loose life of the honky-tonks. Many blues musicians gave up the blues as they grew older and closer to death. They had chosen the church. They had found a home. Those that stayed with the blues never found a home. They was on the road, traveling gig to gig, town to town, up to Memphis and beyond to places like Chicago. Highway 61, the main road north out of the Delta.
'61 highway, longest old highway that I know. 61 highway, longest old highway that I know. Came on from New York City, Lord, to the Gulf of Mexico. I walked down 61 till I give down in my knee. Lord, I walked down 61 till I give down in my knee. I ask you, Lord, give me back my good gal, if you please.
Throughout the 30s and 40s, thousands of blacks looking for work left Mississippi and moved north to Chicago. Sweet home Chicago was not necessarily so sweet. Problems were the same. No jobs, no money. Instead of shacks, they lived in tenements. Instead of porches, they sang on street corners. Beginning in the late 30s, Chicago began to replace the Delta as the center of blues music. Some of the great Mississippi musicians who moved early to Chicago was Big Bill Brunsey, Sunnyland Slim, Johnny Temple. At first, they played the same Delta blues they had at home. It was their music. But in Chicago, they was more likely to play in groups in neighborhood clubs, and their music began to change. After World War II, the country blues that the musicians had brought up from the South would become urban blues with electric guitars, would be played by Mississippi-born musicians like Howlin' Wolf, Elmore James, Muddy Waters, John Lee Hooker. In this song by Johnny Shimes, Honey Boy Edwards, and Walter Horton, you can hear the direction urban blues was beginning to take.
I'll do anything for you. But I'm mine. I'll do anything for you. Well, the way I love you, I hope you love me too.
World War II came the beginning of the leveling process for the American black and the beginning of the end of the country Delta blues. Blacks were starting to gain social and economic status. What was lost was the lonely song of the farmer working in the Delta fields. The blues have been born and nurtured in the South of the teens and 20s and 30s, a South that in many ways had been the same for son and father and grandfather. As the South changed and black men and women began to claim the rights previously reserved for the whites, the old-time country blues was no longer the voice of the black youth. Times had changed, and so had the music. But the Delta blues would not be and could not be forgotten, because all of it, urban blues, rock and roll, soul and hard rock, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and me too, all of it comes right back here to the Delta. We all learn from the old-time Delta blues. However the blues have changed, its spirit remains. Wherever the blues went, this is where they came from.
I worked all the summer and all the fall, trying to find my little all in all. But now she's gone, and I ain't worried. I'm sitting on top of the world. You need to come running, holding up your hand. I can get me a woman where you can a man. But now she's gone, and I ain't worried. I'm sitting on top of the world. It have been days, didn't know your name. Oh, why should I worry and cry in vain? But now she's gone, and I ain't worried. I'm sitting on top of the world. I went to the station down in the yard, gonna catch me a freight train where it done got hard. But now she's gone, and I ain't worried. I'm sitting on top of the world. When I'm dead, down in my grave, that Liverpool sound, no women will crave. I'll be gone, you need not worry. I'll be sitting on top of the world. No more, my Lord, no more, my Lord. Lord, I'll never turn back no more. I found Daniel may rest and play, and he have made me glad. No more, my Lord, no more, my Lord. Lord, I'll never turn back no more.
The blues gonna be here until I'm dead, and you and everybody else. The blues gonna always stand. It's like the world gonna stand. The blues is too. The blues never die. No.